another petition before us. And that petition is on page 449 that had 12 signatories. PGL 30, request for action to prevent builders from dumping rubbish and building materials on vacant blocks in the Maplestone Estate, Sunbury. And I seek a councillor to move the recommendation that the petition be received, circulated to councillors, and the first name signatory of that petition be advised that the matter has been referred to the Manager of City Safety. Councillor Medcraft.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I'd like to thank Dr. Khaled Nazar, who went out and got
Councillor, I take it that you're moving the petition?
Moving it. Yes, I'll accept
and so we'll just seek a seconder for that. Councillor Bell, and back to you, Councillor Medcraft.
Okay, so Dr. Khaled Nazar, he went out and got all the signatories for that petition. And I went down there to have a look at the place, Mr. Mayor, and I was staggered by the number of sites that had just incredible amounts of rubbish dumped on it. Like there's cowboys in trucks that are going in there and emptying loads on vacant blocks. Some of them have put fences up, which is what we'd like to have. They knock the fences down and they go on the property and they dump the rubbish. So what do? We then send the bill to the landowner and say, you must clean up your block, which I've had no problem with in the past. But sting in the tail is the developers spent $50,000 on CCTV cameras, solar-powered high-resolution cameras. Now, councillors have got photos of the trucks sent to them by email. You can see them quite clearly, and what they've done is they have taken those rego numbers and they have prosecuted those cowboys in court with the EPA. They were fined over $100,000. Now, I doubt if we took someone to court whether we would get anywhere near that amount. So I would be saying if we are going to prosecute, we prosecute to the EPA, not the courts, because you'll always find that someone will be upset about taking some poor individual to court. But they did videos and pics, and as I say, they're very clear. You can almost see the dentures on the driver in one of those trucks. The registration plate is there, so you're able to pick up who it is. Now, when they put those cameras up, and they're solar-powered cameras, Mr. Mayor, and they have cameras on both sides, they picked up all the trucks and vehicles that come in with rubbish, and they prosecuted them. They never had any issues with dumping of rubbish when the cameras were there. What did we do? We then sent the officers out there and said, well, we can't have that. You have to remove all those cameras, and we're going to fine you thousands of dollars because you put cameras up in places we don't like. So they've taken the cameras down. They've moved them away. Guess what, Mr. Mayor? The cowboys are back and all the blocks are being littered with garbage. So they've said, what is the point of us taking action, which we're saying to them, install CCTV cameras, guys. We'll be able to help you. We'll support you. And all we do is go out and say, oh, we don't like where you put those cameras and we are going to fine you for it. And we're going to give you a slap on the tail because you didn't do what we want you to do. I'm just staggered at a developer spending $50,000 of his own money to try and stop illegal dumping. And here we are getting on our high horse and saying, no, that's not going to work for us. So what do? Well, surely we can work with these guys. If they're prepared to take the action, we can use them as a test case and say, Maplestone have taken action. They've put cameras in. It has restricted dumpers from getting onto that estate and using a vacant blocks to dump their garbage there. Now, okay, we'll get them to put fences up, but there's nothing to stop these clowns from hooking them up and running over them, which is what I saw a couple of blocks. That's what's happened. So can we sort of come to some sort of consensus and work this estate as an example of how you can restrict illegal dumping on vacant land? And it's a perfect example. And you can see by the videos and the pictures, which they took to VCAT, bang, those culprits were found guilty and we're fined massively. So I say well done to the developers of Maplestone. Well done, Doctor, for getting out there and getting the names and signatures to your petition. And I said I would take this up for him, and I'm glad we've got it on the table. And I do hope we get back to Dr. Nazar and tell him that we have taken this on board, we're taking it seriously, and we will discuss with them ways of restricting garbage dumping on their estate. Thanks, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Medcraft. Councillor Bell, did you wish to speak?
Very quickly, and I know I've said that before, but I will be this time, Mr. Mayor. I just would like to acknowledge and thank all the petitioners who have reached out to Council and have done both this petition but also asked the public questions that were submitted earlier this evening. I would like to echo some of the sentiments in their commentary and their questions. I've been down to Maplestone, and I've been to Redstone, and I've been to Everleigh and Kingsfield, which are our new estates in Sunbury, many, many times. And unfortunately, I'm sure my colleagues from other growth areas will agree. Unfortunately, this is a bit of a scourge that happens across development and new development areas. I don't think it's the commercial dumpers who are coming out from outside and bringing rubbish in. Typically, I expect this to be builders who can't be bothered putting the rubbish in the required skips and disposal units on the blocks of land in which they're building. They just throw it next door, or, you know, there's a half-full concrete truck. The truck driver has a certain time before he has to have an empty truck, and oh, there's an empty block of land there, I'll just dump it over there. And that is unfortunately the reality of these new development communities. I know Councillor Michaud has brought this up previously, particularly the concrete, if I remember correctly. And so this is a challenge. It is a challenge for any growth area, and I sympathise very strongly with the communities of Maplestone particularly, who have reached out to us tonight. I'm sure that where it is possible, Council will assist and support these residents, ensuring their communities are clean. Where we have the evidence, we will prosecute, but I'll await officers to provide their response as part of our petitioning process. But again, I just want to acknowledge and thank and support those who have reached out to us tonight.
Thank you, Councillor Bell. Was there any further speakers? Councillor Dance.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. Look, can I just ask officers a question? Because as people know, I always like to base things on facts, and I'm quite horrified with what Councillor Medcraft said. Can we just, if that's the case, I'm very concerned. Could you clarify that Council has told those developers to remove security cameras that they paid at their own cost to protect the property? Has Council actually done that?
That question, Councillor Medcraft, that question will be answered by officers. So, Acting Director, Ms. Kristen Cherry will speak to that. Thank you.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Mayor, I will need to take that on notice, and I will provide advice back.
Thank you, Ms. Director.
A supplementary question. Could officers then, obviously might be on notice, how many people we find there that are not landowners, and then how many we have fined are new landowners, like as part of the doctor there? So, look, obviously I support their petition, and I'll also raise that I've been down there so many times. I think Council's got 4 or 5 now of my own visits there over the last few years, pointing out the rubbish ongoing. It also goes in the farm as well next door regularly. And some of the response to officers were, we're going to monitor regularly, but obviously maybe that's not the case. Otherwise we wouldn't have these residents saying so many things here. But this list flows on for the notice of motion for that. We've got all this dumping, but when it comes to the serious stuff, or we actually go after the small people, really, I suppose, in this case, let's get them paid because they won't fight council and courts. But we've got all these bigger dumping areas around, and one of them's a big landowner in the area too is doing it. Actually, it's 2 at the moment. It just worries me that we go after these little people. All they're trying to do is move into the new homes. And some ratbag, as Councillor Medcraft didn't use that word, but saying that they're gone there and dumping on these people property, and we go around and find them. They've got a fence up, fence knocked down. I think we've been totally unreasonably, quite frank with it, and I hope we do something. But again, it concerns me if those cameras were taken down by council and the developer's trying to do the right thing to protect his new people in his development. And secondly, that where the officers been, because they have told me they go there regular. So and because they were going there regularly, we probably would have got this motion, this petition raised with us at all, because everything would have been honky-dory. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, councillor. Was there any further speakers to this? Councillor Michaud.
I'll make it very brief, and I haven't said that before. Well, look, the only thing I'd like to say is this is, for me, this conversation sometimes becomes, unfortunately and respectfully, useless. This is an issue that has been continuously happening. I really acknowledge the people that have put the petition, and I'm glad for their victory, but it's never going to end. According to the EPA, it's an illegal, it's a crime. Illegal dumping is a crime, but unfortunately it's not enforced heavily. And even if you were to go to the police and speak to them, they've got too much on their hand to actually, have that executed. I really think the petition should actually happen amongst all councils of Victoria to speak to state government and federal. I'm just curious why the chair keeps on smiling. That's okay. I'm just getting distracted. Anyway, that's fine. Look, I really think that councils, they collectively should actually align their forces and create one voice to speak to state and federal government to ensure that there is something about it. I think at the end of the day, a lot of those people that commit those crimes, they think, the risk is less or lighter than the benefit. You've got a lot of those people that perhaps, I'm not going to target a particular industry, but people, for example, in the excavation industry, some of them, many of them do the right thing, but some of them actually think it's cheaper for them to go and dump a truckload of soil at somebody's vacant block of land rather than taking it to the tip. They don't have to pay that $200 or something. And then you've got a lot of people that try to do the right thing. They're actually buying a vacant block of land so they can build their dream home for their families. And before you know it, you've got every Tom, Dick and Harry filling the entire land with rubbish. And then that owner has to actually clean it and pay for fines that council has to issue. And then again, this particular individual find themselves hopeless. Either they fight with council, try to put an appeal for something that they really are innocent. I really think we should actually push very, very hard with the state government and the federal government so they can actually make this enforceable. Only when people find the risk for them to do such action is hefty, that's when they'll stop. Otherwise, we will keep on year, meeting after meeting, talking about illegal dump rubbish. We've come up with so many things. We've provided so many options. We've even rolled that through a notice of motion that I actually put forward, and all the councillors actually, approved and was carried. We're providing all the different options for them to do the right thing, yet we continue to find illegal dump rubbish. I really think now it's time to enforce heavily through state and federal government, through the police force. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Michaud. Was there any further speakers to this petition? There being none, we'll put the matter to a vote. All those in favour and against, and that petition is accepted. Thank you, councillors. I was smiling during that, and that was just the comments made leading into the discussion, but certainly a very serious discussion and petition, and it's a big issue that our community is facing, and we thank our community members for raising that petition with council. The next item